Men over the age of 40 that want to build muscle, lose fat, and get into the best shape of your life. These are 3 beginner weightlifting mistakes that you have to know and avoid if you want to get into better shape. The number one mistake that men 40 plus make when they get back into the gym is they train way too heavy, way too hard, way too soon. They get into the gym, they're super excited, they want to make this change for themselves. Either they're comparing themselves to the younger guys in the gym, or they're comparing themselves to where they used to be at when they were 20 years old, and they want to get back to that as quickly as possible, and they think they should go with super heavy weights, super hard, super soon, and just get back into a groove of things right away. But the thing is, you don't move as well as you used to anymore. And the thing is, you can gain muscle and get your muscles stronger and gain strength relatively quickly compared to how well your joints, your tendons, your ligaments adapt over time. Those take a little bit of time to adapt to weightlifting. So oftentimes I'll have men over the age of 40 start working with me. We give them a workout routine, and 2, 3, 4 weeks in, they're like, hey man, recovery's a bit tough. I'm not recovering as well as I want to. I'm feeling really sore throughout the day. And I only usually recommend 3 or 4 workouts per week, about 45 to 60 minutes. So it's not a whole lot, but the thing is, they're going way too heavy, way too hard, way too soon. Now, how do you actually avoid this and lift weights the right way to avoid overdoing it? Let's get right into that. So I noticed a lot of my clients ask common questions when they get into a program. So I made this acronym right here. They ask, Ollie, should I lift light weights or heavy weights? Ollie, how do I know if I'm making progress? Ollie, how do I know if I'm lifting with proper form? And Ollie, how do I know how hard I should be training as a man over the age of 40 that wants to build muscle and lose fat? So this little acronym answers all those questions, and let's actually get right into it. So lift challenging weights. This answers the question, do you lift light or heavy when you're in the gym? So let's say you're doing a bicep curl. You're going to lift the 15-pound weight. It's going to feel way too light, like you're not even challenging yourself. Then you go over to 40 pounds and you lift 40 pounds with a bicep curl. It feels so overwhelming. Like you can't even do a proper form or without feeling it too much in your joints. So you got light weights, you got heavy weights, and right in the middle is right about 25 pounds. You're going to lift it and be like, okay, this is definitely challenging, but I can actually do it with good form and get a really good stimulus on my muscles. So should you lift light weights or heavy weights? You want right in the middle, challenging weights with good form. Okay, so back to the mistake. Men 40 plus go way too hard, way too heavy, way too soon. The T stands for train 1 to 3 reps away from failure. Okay, so what is failure? Failure is when you can't do any more reps. Imagine this was a super heavy weight. I'm doing a bicep curl, I'm lifting, and I'm trying as hard as possible, gun to my head, but I can't do any more. That's failure right there. Now, the problem with men 40 plus is they see the younger guys or they think they have to train super hard, so they go all the way to failure. You don't have to do that in order to build muscle. Training 1 to 2 reps short of failure is generally recommended, but training 1 to 3 reps away from failure is a great place to be at. You can gain a whole lot of muscle in your first 6 to 12 months of just getting back into things. As long as you work on good form, lift challenging weights, and increase strength, you don't have to train all the way to failure. Oftentimes I stop 1 rep short, even being in my age, which is 25, right? The best thing you can do when you're just getting back into a groove of things is actually stay right around 3 reps away from failure, because you're going to notice in the first month, 2 months, 3 months back into weightlifting in general, or let's just say you're switching up your workout routine and trying new exercise, you're going to be relatively sore and build a whole lot of muscle just by changing your routine or getting back into a groove of things. So there's no point to train all the way to failure. I recommend training 3 reps away from failure, 1, 2 months into a new routine or when you're getting back into a groove of things, and then go about 2 reps away from failure. And if you notice to yourself that, hey, I am doing all my other recovery things really well, I'm stretching, I'm making sure I'm walking on my off days, I'm getting some movement, I'm getting some blood flow, I'm not eating too little carbs, I'm getting a good amount of protein in, seems like I'm doing everything well, and I'm not really recovering that well, then I would say tone down how hard you're training in the gym. Don't train around 1 rep short of failure. Maybe push it back to 2. If 2 is too much, maybe push it back to 3. And there are other components of this acronym that I made up, but they're not the opposites of the mistake that men 40 plus make. mistake number one, which is going way too hard, way too heavy, way too soon. So we'll get into that another time. Number two mistake men 40 plus make when trying to build muscle and lose fat and get into a gym when it comes to lifting is no mobility work. Now, mobility, flexibility, stretching, all these kind of mean the same thing in this context right here. All I'm talking about is how well you move, okay? Because when you're in the gym, think about it. If you're doing a bicep curl, that's awesome. But your bicep, this is full range of motion going all the way down and all the way up. When you're doing a squat, I can't show you on camera, but ideally you want to get down to where your knees and hips are at the same level. A lot of men 40 plus cannot squat down comfortably without feeling pain in their hips and their knees. So does it make sense to put a barbell on your back, put weights on here and do a deep squat? No, it really doesn't. Let's work on our mobility as we're working on building strength and muscle as well, so you can actually gain muscle and strength in that full range of motion and be able to move well as you get older too. Met a lot of 40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus people. They have trouble getting out of bed. It's like it takes them 30 seconds, right? And we just don't want that. So how do you actually start incorporating mobility work without overwhelming yourself? So understand, when it comes to mobility, it's actually better to do it on a consistent day-by-day basis instead of something like lifting where, 3-4 days per week is plenty. Mobility, you want to think about you're training mobility all the time, no matter what. Like me standing here, I'm going to resort to my normal posture. If I am really comfortable hunching forward, I'm practicing mobility right now, hunching forward, right? Mobility is all the time. Mobility is how you sit down. Mobility is how you lift. Mobility is how you sleep. Mobility is a daily, momentary thing. So if we want to work on better mobility, understand that it happens all the time, and daily practices like 5, 10, 20 minutes is better than one time per week for an hour. The more you do, the better. Now, the mobility work I'm going to tell you about is foam rolling, okay? Some of this stuff can apply to stretching, actually it does, but I would recommend getting a foam roller. It makes it pretty relaxing and a lot more enjoyable than stretching is. And these are the rules I want you to follow, because a lot of people just foam roll, they just lay on it for like 30 seconds and that's it. So rule number one when it comes to foam rolling and mobility is 7 out of 10 tension. When you go on a foam roller, a lot of people try to find that pain spot. And they're like, oh my God, it hurts so good. It hurts so good. Some people have a weird addiction to pain, I've noticed, and sometimes it does feel good. But what you want to do when you're doing mobility work is actually think about all these are your muscle fibers, and they're kind of, very, very tight over time. What you don't want to do is go to pain, because when you go to pain, these muscle fibers don't learn that they need to relax and actually go into a stretched position, right? Because your body is clenching, it's holding on. What you want to do is go to a 7 out of 10 tension. If you've ever been to a doctor or hospital before, they say, how bad does it hurt? 10 out of 10 is super painful. 1 out of 10 is no pain, no tension. 7 out of 10 tension should be where you're at. What does that feel like? That means if I'm rolling my legs, the front of my legs, 7 out of 10 means, okay, wow, this is actually tight. This is uncomfortable. I really don't like being here, but I can tolerate it, and I can actually breathe and relax while I'm holding this spot right here. And what you'll notice, if you actually breathe and relax, slow your breathing down, hold that tight spot for about 30 seconds, you'll notice the tightness start to decrease. And as soon as you notice that, you can move to another part on the front of your leg, or you can move to your calves, or you can move to the back of your leg or your upper body. But these are some of the rules that you want to keep in mind. We don't just want to foam roll willy-nilly, go into a 7 out of 10 tension, letting us relax into that stretch, holding the tight spots for 30 seconds, and then breathing and relaxing when we're there. Search up foam roll 10 minutes on YouTube, see which one you like, and I would recommend just not overwhelming yourself. Choose something you can stick to. And if that's 5 minutes, that's 5 minutes. If that's 10 minutes, that's 10 minutes. It is good to do it before and after lifting, but if I had to recommend it, gosh, both of them have benefits. What you want to understand is when you do it before lifting, it actually helps improve your range of motion, how well you move before you go into your weightlifting practice. So think about it. If I'm really tight in my hips, I would probably want to make sure I foam roll before lifting so I can squat a little bit deeper, deadlift a little bit deeper so my lifts are more effective. But not only that, you actually get to move better long term, because when you lift, it's kind of like you're creating permanent changes within your body if you keep doing that over time. So before and after lifting works, up to you, but I recommend daily practice of mobility if you're a man over the age of 40. Number 3 mistake that men 40 plus make when getting into lifting weights is not lifting with proper form. Guys, form is everything, and I can tell you as a personal trainer that worked at a big box gym for 2 entire years and worked with people in person teaching them proper form. Proper form takes time to learn, and it's going to sound super judgmental of me, but I would always look around, just curious, and everyone can work on their form. Even me sometimes can work on my form because sometimes I get so drawn into lifting heavier and pushing harder that I forget the basics, So lifting with proper form, understand you want to keep watching videos and keep understanding better form throughout the rest of your lifting career. Big things that you want to understand, the acronym CPR. CPR. Remember, mouth-to-mouth CPR for proper form, okay? So C stands for control. This means whenever we're lifting weights, if I'm doing a shoulder press, I'm not pushing it up with momentum. I'm not throwing my hips into it. And I'm also not letting it just drop down with no control, okay? Dropping down with no control is kind of how you mess up your joints, and you miss out a lot of muscle gain that you could get and a lot of strength gain and stability gain in your actual joints, your tendons, your ligaments. So, because you want to strengthen those too for functional strength, okay? So making sure you're not using momentum and as you're coming down with control, okay? P is going to be for posture. Now, posture, you want to keep a few things in some mind. Posture is making sure your neck is not jutted forward. A lot of times when we're lifting, our neck is jutted forward like this. Sometimes we do have a forward shoulder like this because we're sitting at a desk. Oftentimes we're hunched forward. And when you're lifting, all you're doing is strengthening that forward shoulder and for you to have it outside the gym. So you want to get your shoulders back, your neck in line. And another thing you want to do is make sure your back is straight. So a lot of times people have an arched lower back. I'm not sure if you can see it. And you want to make sure that back is straight. So what you could do is just kind of tuck your pelvis in and then brace your core like someone was going to punch you, okay? Besides that, when you're squatting, okay? Let's say you're squatting right here. This is you. Hi, my name is Jim. Let's say I'm squatting. These are my knees right here. If you're squatting, you want to make sure your knees and your toes are pointing in the same direction. A lot of people, what you'll notice when they squat is their knees tend to cave in like this, right? So whether you're deadlifting, squatting, lunging, doing any lower body exercise, even upper body, you want to make sure your knees are going in the same direction as your toes and keep your joints stacked on top of each other, meaning they're going in the same direction, okay? And last thing I would say right here is, so brace your core. Your core is your midsection. Knees going in same direction as your toes. You want to make sure your shoulders are not slouched forward, but you kind of bring them back just like this. And you want to make sure your neck is in line with your spine because your neck is part of your spine. So if my spine's back here, I want to make sure my neck is in line with it. So those are the things I would say about proper posture. And then range of motion, like we talked about when it comes to a bicep curl, your bicep goes all the way up and all the way down. But if you notice some people in the gym, they're just doing like half motions right here, just half motions with a lot of weight. You want to make sure what you're basically doing is you're missing out on muscle growth, missing out on strength gain, and you're just getting strong in such a small range of motion that as soon as you take that weight and as soon as you go somewhere where you don't train, you're going to lose your strength there because you've never practiced it before. So you want to make sure you're lifting with a full range of motion. And that's going to look different for every lift that you do. But again, recommend watching videos, nonstop watching videos until you perfect something, and then even revisiting it 1, 2, 3 months later in case you forget. To recap, these are 3 beginner mistakes that men 40 plus make when starting to lift weights. Number 1 is going way too heavy, way too hard, way too soon. So remember the acronym that I gave is LIFT, okay? L stands for lift challenging weights. And T stands for train 1 to 3 reps short of failure. So instead of lifting heavy weights or lifting light weights, you want to lift challenging weights that you could do with good form. And training 1 to 3 reps short of failure, if you notice you're really getting sore, not recovering well, then you want to dial back the intensity just a little bit, stopping about 2 or 3 reps away from failure instead of going all out. Number 2 is no mobility work, okay? Understand that as you've gotten older, as you become more sedentary, as you have a desk job, your hips are going to get tight, your shoulders are going to get slouched. It's just the everyday posture that more and more people are having. So you want to do more mobility to kind of like open everything up as you start to lift weights so you don't feel so tight and stiff. And then number 3 mistake that men 40 plus make is just not lifting with proper form. Again, just prioritizing heavy weights, going hard, and not understanding that, hey, We actually want to build functional strength here. And the analogy here, or the metaphor, is that you're not training to look shredded on the beach and to impress the ladies. We're past that age, okay? We're training to look good, but we're also training to be able to play with our grandkids and move freely. That's the kind of switch I want you to make, okay? That is today's video. And if you want more help, if you want actually a 3-day workout routine for busy men over the age of 40 who want to build muscle and lose fat, go ahead and either go to my Instagram at CoachXAli or go to my Facebook at CoachXAli. You can find the username in the description and just DM me 3-day and I'll send you a 3-day workout routine absolutely free. It'll show you how to track it, exactly which exercises to do, exactly how to do a proper form, made exactly for men over the age of 40. It's joint friendly exercises. It's going to help you build that functional strength and help you lose that weight. Okay, so DM me 3-day on Instagram or Facebook at CoachXAli. I will see you next time.